Okay. I'm just hearing noise campaign from perps. And, obviously I know what they do. And I know why they're doing it. I understand that they are contracted to do these things. Unfortunately, I'll never subscribe to this for them. Unfortunately. And I know that they're going to leave off the fantasy based on the torture I'm going to experience. Now I understand the reality. I just took a screenshot of like the back of this kid's head, this little adorable little girl. I think her father was laying there, and the mother was like, "I'm gonna be hugging your dad," and she was like, "No, no, don't touch my dad." Very wholesome. But the ways in my brain now is in this pedophilia ways. Now, I said yesterday how disturbing these people are, and this is not the first time. They've done some very foul things in order to force me to look at kids in sexual ways and babies, which they say, no, we've just mapped it as you when you were a kid. It's like, listen, things like that, like I just mentioned, this content is a content that I would love to watch. This is the wholesome stuff that I love to watch. But today, because of this trash that are contracted by these governmental entities that are supposed to gaslight me into making me accept these manipulations, which at this point they know it's not going to happen. They know it's not going to happen. They know the torture is going to happen, so they're going to leave off that. They know I'm going to be tortured because that's the things they can do. They work for governmental entities. These entities are torturing people, but they're going to try to create a theater of torture. These people torture as young, the baby that I'm looking at, they torture babies like that. And so they wanted to live this fucking fantasy, which I'm not giving them. So it's going to be a lot of gimmicks. But my job is to let them know that you sold your soul to this. I'm so thankful for that. One thing is for sure, I don't wish for anything good, which means I hope they continue to live this way. And I'm not just saying that because I'm looking at what they try to stimulate on, it just stimulate me, and just a reminder how obvious they do this pedophilia type of torture to that point of what I've been experiencing and the nastiness they've been forcing me to experience. To what level? You tell me you're mapping me when somebody is giving me some kind of sexual intimacy and say black girls? Is it part of the mapping? Do you understand? There is no covering up the reality of what they're part. These people are part of a program that can manipulate a man or a woman to look at children and experience disturbing sexual stimulations, which they even, while I'm having intimate moments with women, could even utilize that woman as a perp to try to make me think of children and her doing whatever sexual act we're both doing, to train my brain this way. Now I'm looking at this picture. Maybe I can make videos about it, but I'm glad that I'm taking pictures of the things they do to me today. This is something I started doing maybe late last year, and I'm thankful that I've done it, because now I can look back and see the manipulation and even address those and show what they do to me. This kid, all you see is just like the back of her head. You see her little hair, her little back and little arms. The stimulation I'm getting is disgusting, and they make me imagine of what this baby might look like. And then they also make me think of the stimulation that made me experience in the memory of my friend's daughter. I say we mapped it. Now, I know bad things are going to happen to me because they've been humiliated. What do you do when you are so humiliated and you're trying to create this psyop that, regardless of how manipulative you're doing things to me, it's like, no, we mapped it to you when you were a child. But it's like, I'm not a child. Okay, then they start manipulating my memories when I'm an adult. It's like, no, it's falsified. I've been talking about this before even this memory happened. Then you do the nasty things that obviously shows that you're trying to condition my brain in this disturbing pedophilia ways. And then I give validations that the testimonials of other target individuals have literally mentioned they do this pedophilia type of torture, showing a pure indication of what these people do, which is pedophilia centric. And they're like, no, but what you did as a child. As a child in 8th grade, the stupid thing, that moment of stupidity where now you have to create patterns where you falsify memory. Me when I was a kid, while you are today in a program that tortured children as young as this baby I saw. It's like reality just humiliate them. So what can they do? I'm going to see that. I'm going to know that no one needs to do this pedophile type of torture. They torture children. They do horrible things to women. But the entities running this program happen to have a lot of pedophiles. In every front you look at, they've been humiliated. Humiliated. For me, they're going to try to gaslight me into accepting. I know I see them for what they are. The pedos that they're not even paid. They're the bottom feeders. The pedos contract to do these things. The reality is that so now they can be like, you're gonna be in chains, you're gonna be tortured. Like, I believe that all this torture is gonna happen, but you can't even say the name of this pedophile. You see, you're gonna torture somebody who's been way before you met, it was dead. So it's like, oh, what, you want to change him? You want to do this and that? Do whatever. It's done. But don't say Roy Moore. This is the name of this pedophile. Yes. Yeah, but he knows about the pedophile type of torture. He knows you torture children. He knows that the psyop is the psyop. He knows that the people behind this program are filled with pedophiles. Do whatever you need to, but he's gonna die and screaming and crying, but he lived knowing the reality of things and seeing you for the trash that you are. These bottom feeders are living off just now my torture. I can look at these people's faces like, while I'm having sex with this woman, sorry for being so descriptive here, you do things to me and make me think of children. While this woman is having this sexual intimacy with me, she stops because she's a purpose, looks at me, say black girl, and then get back to this. Why? Is it part of the mapping? It's the deep investigations. You understand the reality of what is trash are. They will try to bring up all the things they did to me. And unfortunately, now I look back, I'm like, I wish I would have took pictures of all these manipulations. I remember in 2020 or 2021, I think it's 2021 at this point. I think maybe 2020, 2021. I remember there was an ad of this young adult, late teen. She was like a kind of heavy set person dancing. Say, she said she graduated from high school from this dance team and whatever, and she was doing this dance. She's kind of big girl, right? And there was girls behind her who about her age, late teen, young adults. And they're all actresses. It's part of this ad, and they're dancing. They're dancing, whatever. And there's this girl in the background. They start forcing me. I mean, you can barely see. They start forcing me to get stimulation. They force me to get the stimulation and perception of this person from the background, which you can barely see who she is. Now, the reason why is because she's like a late teen, young adult, and either way. And they were forcing me to, and I couldn't believe these things. Like, there's no way I'll get this kind of reaction to it. And that was early on when I could still believe, I thought that there was a way I could look at things and things could come back to my brain the way it would have been naturally. And I tried to look, it's like, there's no way. If this person in the background, the little I'm seeing, they're forcing me to look at her in this sexual perception that is just so forced. I can feel it now. They do that to babies, right? They do that to actual children, people who are 100% children. So somebody who actually looks from afar, even though she looks young, but look like a young adult, that's okay. They can do that to a baby who's obviously a baby. Not too long ago, they did that to a 12-year-old boy, forcing me to get sexual stimulations. So somebody who 18, 19, 20, something like, and she's an actress, she goes around and she can look like around that. They can easily do so much. And but there's so little to see. You could barely see her face, it's just blurred because somebody in the background, it's not even the man, big girl dancing, who's like her herself, look like early adulthood, 18, 19, 20-year-old dancing, kind of big set. She was like somebody in the background. And so it's like, if you can force me, of course, you can create this perception easily. Because she actually looks more like she's like a very young adult. So you can create those perceptions easily. And naturally, Not to say that there's never been, I've never seen a young adult that's very beautiful. She's not that. It's obviously forced. Not to say she's ugly, but I'm just like, this is, you can barely see this person. No. And it's not like something just overly sexualized. It's just like they can create these perceptions that's so insanely manipulated. But like I said, they've done that to babies, like 14-year-old kids, little babies, and they try to make me look at them in a sexual way. Now I'm looking back as like, there's no way. Look at their faces. There's like a 12-year-old. They were trying to make me look at this girl like she was an adult. I was like, there's no way. They've done that to babies. Now, so an actress who's in an ad, who's playing this background dancer, who's like late teen and young adulthood, 20 some, or 18, 19-year-old. Of course you can do that easily. Earlier today, there was this person, right? I'm watching this traveling show. And this person is in Sweden. And he's talking to two blondes. Not bad looking at all. And they obviously, these girls look like they've drank. They look like they're in their 20s, 22, 23, or so like that. And I'm getting like very like a sensation, but I'm like, look at them, like they're not bad looking at all, like, so it's okay, whatever. And then this girl, she says, I'm 18 years old. I'm like, whoa. She first of all she doesn't look way older. She looked more like she's 23 years old, 24. But I'm looking at her, and it's like, I took a screenshot. I'm like, wait, she doesn't even look the same. They played with my perception toward this person because she's 18. Now, with that being said, she still looks like she's in her 20s. But, let me say, she's not an ugly girl at all. But it's like they refined her, like they made her look better. In my mind, after this, I'm looking at her, and not to insult her, definitely good looking person, good for her. But in my brain, the way they made her look, I couldn't believe it. They somehow, in my brain, her face was like, and not to judge them, but they somehow made me look at her like her face was smaller. And I'm looking at her screenshots like, she looks different. Not to say she's ugly, please. But my perception of her changed. I'm like, what the hell? Her forehead got bigger, like things. It's like, what? And I'm like, but with that being said, she still looked like she's in her 20s, right? Early 20s. She looked more like a 23, 24. She looks a little older than her age, but she's only 18. But they were doing this because she's only 18 years old, and they wanted me to look at her in a more favorable way. And they were forcing me to get like this perception about this girl. It made her look prettier and better in my brain. And I'm looking at back, I was like, what the hell? You still play with my brain with this. And you hear this trash outside raining, a pedo. This trash the government contracts are trying to make me see these things as if it's happening organically. And I'm not subscribing. So they're making a noise campaign. They're doing all these loud things. While this trash, as they manipulate me, cannot even say the name of a pedophile. And me, they play with my brain. Even a 18-year-old girl who, because she's 18, they try to make her look better. And with that being said, she still looked like she's older than that. She looked like a 23. I have a picture. I took a screenshot of that. I was like, I can talk about it. And it's like, because she's 18, they wanted me to look at her in a more favorable way. Just because she's young. Young adults, very young adults, but because she's young, that's why. And I look back. I'm seeing like, and let me say something. She's not a bad looking at all. At all. But because they wanted me to look at her in a better way, they made her appear in my mind in a better way. Like the perception changed. And I was like, wow. Now, they've done it to like much younger girls, like babies. But I was like, why would they even do that to her? Because initially you think that she's an adult. She looked well, she is an adult, but she looked like a 20-something-year-old adult, right? It's one who kind of look a little bit older. And you look at her, And I can't believe that even her, they had to kind of change my perception onto her to make me look at her. Because at first they're like, oh, you think she's, I was like, oh, look at her, she's not bad. Like, she looked like this like Swedish models almost. But you look closer when you take the screenshot. I'm like, whoa, that's not my perception. She's not bad looking at all, please. But it's like there she looks normal, not bad looking at all. Still even look like in her 20s. But they made her look better in my mind. They like made her brain, her head. I don't know, her facial structure changed and made her a little bit less expanded. Then I look back, it's like, I can't believe this. The first time I saw her, I was like, in my mind, she looked like those typical like Swedish model. Then I look back, she looked more like a normal person. Not bad looking at all, but embellished in somehow. And so I'm like, they have this capability, this technology, to create these perceptions. And they're so precise in their ability to manipulate you. And I'm surprised that even though they've done that to babies, at least the babies, not at least, but the babies, it's obvious. They make me try to look at this child, like this 12-year-old, 13, 14, and try to make me look at her as if she's an adult. You can see them trying that. But this girl already looks like she is an adult, but she looks like a 20-some-year-old. But they are trying to make her look better than what she looks like. So I can perceive her in this better way, in this better way. Made her almost look like a like Swedish model. I'm like, what? She doesn't look like that. She doesn't. Well, she doesn't look like what they made me perceive her as. And so that's what they're doing. And right now in my brain, they're bringing up whatever things they've done to me, all the actresses, the things like that, to try to counter reality. Is all a mind game. And try to be gaslighted into accepting all the manipulation, perceptions, narrations, memories, the systematic manipulations. It's non-stop. If they can do that to babies, they can do that to older girls. And I mean, like older, young, adult, teenagers, whatever, they can do that. And somebody from the background, I'm like, okay. And I remember that was before I was like acceptive of like the ability of what they do. I thought if I shook my head and tried to look again, I'll be able. So I'll go like, okay, I'll go back. I'll rewind this commercial, this ad. I'm like, okay, I can do this. And they'll play with me. Sometimes they try to like slowly make it look normal and then go back to like, I'm like, wow. And this is a girl on the background, and that's like a young adult-ish, like adult, like 18 to like 21 or so, like something like that, right? And she's an actress. It's those like ad people. It's like somebody who's supposed to be in the background dancing, but it's part of this ad where they're all actors and whatever. But very like either young, adult, late teen type of person. Can't tell by much because by the background. But the reason why they're forcing me to have this perception is because of that. And because, they can play with my brain. And they like to do this kind of stimulation onto anybody who's like very young, even if they're adult. Even if they're adult. And so it's the nasty things they do. And now I've been getting this disturbing manipulation, which right now they're bringing up all the manipulations of anything they've been working on and creating in my mind. Bringing up, what's the name? This kid in Stranger Thing, and all these things. It's so sad. And so for me, that's continuously what's happening. Is how they can manipulate me and gaslight me into accepting these things. It's so annoying, but that's how it's gonna happen for me. And in regard of like what I expect going forward, obviously is that, but I expect that they're gonna do their best to make me accept these things, which is not gonna happen. But at the end, it's gonna end up being with torture because they're gonna try to create that theater. Because all he's been is been these obvious manipulations of trying to play everything in my brain in different ways. I can't look at it. You know how many times there was like this. The first thing when there was this kid that I could see like her little free little hair like and her little like back and her little shoulder. They were forcing me to think of in this disturbing pedophilia ways, and then try to go into memories and manipulate of my friend's daughter and give me this sensation stimulation. They said they mapped it to me when I was a child, and then have been going to my memories as an adult and try to implant that stimulation that they make me have today, that they said they mapped it to me when I was a child, into memories when I'm an adult before August 19, 2019. So this is what I have to deal with as a TI, target individual who is a human subject in a program where they are utilizing this technology that can overlay perceptions and memories and reactions and manipulate your brain and thoughts and your body in so many disturbing ways, and try to use these perps who are there to agitate you, that you can hear interact with you via V2K, using their tonality, try to sound, and then tell me how I'm going to be diverging and disorienting me by saying things about what's going to happen to me in order for me to accept these things. Well, they can't even say the name of a pedophile that picked up kids as young as 14 years old. I said this name, like I said, I was shocked when I saw who got nervous when I said his name. Somebody looking at you was like, I'm going to kill you, and I say Roy Moore, and he just like start looking at straight. I'm like, what? He looked. It's like, who am I? Who is the, like? Are you serious? Oh, I'm gonna be tortured for real. Because this is reality. Do you guys know reality so well? It's so embarrassing. How can you compensate for that? As I'm saying that, somebody's a black girl, and they do the stimulations because that's what they mapped it to me as a child. They can't even say this pedophile's name, and the entities contracting this trash are filled with pedophiles. This is the reality they have to live in. They are trying their best to get me to subscribe to everything. They literally, while I'm having sex, say black girl. This is the nasty things. While they can't say the name of this pedophile that's picking up kids as young as 14 years old, this agency are filled with pedos that do things to 2-year-old girls and whatever. And they're like, but we mapped it to you when you were gay, black girls. That the same thing they say when I'm getting this, when I'm having sexual intimacies with women, where these women are perps and look at me, it's like, while they're doing things to me, they look at me, it's like, black girl. This is why they have to compensate from reality. Terrified of a pedophile when they are here doing this thing to me, show me what they're going to do to me. But I say Roy Moore, instead of saying Roy Moore, they have to say Rat Moore. How much humiliation can one have? In my brain, they're making me think of me as a child, get the stimulations, and then somebody say, they're going to rape you. I'd rather get raped. Soldiers, these people are so humiliated. Enjoy this God moment. If you've been humiliated now while you're still God, imagine. To all my target individuals, stay strong. Because this is the life this trash live. They try to condition me in these pedophilia ways. They work for pedophiles. They do these horrible things to children and women. They are renowned for manipulating people in these pedophilia ways. Literally, I can bring up somebody say they do this pedophilia type of torture. Well, they tell me, oh no, we mapped your brain to when you were a child. And then when I'm with a woman, this woman who's a perp would say, in the midst of me having sexual moments with her, sexual acts with her, she'll stop what she's doing, look at me, and black girl, and then go back to whatever she was doing to me. And you're like, oh, what? To try to train my brain to think about kids in this way. And then when they're like, no, but remember what you did as a child? It's like, what? Remember that I know that you tortured kids sexually? Kids grabbing their private area because they are aiming this directed energy or this technology that can make you feel pain points everywhere. And they're aiming toward these kids' genitals. Little boys, little girls, some of them with mental disease, mental handicap, sorry. And I'm not talking about decades ago. This testimony of Mariana is in 2018. This is reality. These mean people torture children. These mean people, these cowards, and I use the word mean because they try to be agitate. They try to agitate me by calling themselves mean. These mean individuals, and when I say the way they interact with me is via V2K, so this technology can project their voices onto my brain, and they're somewhere maybe in the area or wherever they are, but it's not near me, as in it's not, I cannot see them, right? So this technology can do this, and so because of this bravery of theirs, they can say whatever, however they want it. So they like to call themselves women because because we could try to force you to think in these disgusting ways, but also because what I said, what they do to children, all they can say, oh, we're mean. Yes, you're very mean, and you're so cowards, and it's very much pedophiles. For me, every time I see a black little girl, they're gonna do this stimulation, which they say they mapped it as me as a child, to the point that when I'm with a woman, that woman will stop what she's doing and say black girl while we're having a sexual moment, when we're having sexual acts. And I say moment, they're like, oh, but remember that moment when you were a kid, the things you did to yourself. And of course, they try to exaggerate. When you were a child. I'm like, I know what I did as a child, and I know what you guys do to children. And I know today as an adult, you have these women, while we're having sexual intimacy, she will stop what she's doing and say black girl, so I can start thinking these disturbing ways and connect whatever she's doing to me to black little girls. You understand how pedophilia-centric these people are? These people who can't even say the name of a pedophile. These people who work for entities filled with pedophiles. That's why I'm so grateful to have the chance to hear all these things. This trash, in front of them, I can listen to what the obviousness. I can say Roy Moore, and they won't know what to do. All they can say is like, they're gonna rape you. You can't say Roy Moore. I'd rather get raped. So my target individuals, stay strong.